Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hope you all are doing fantastic. Let's take a look and see what is going on with Bitcoin for the day. So, taking a look at our daily chart here, it looks like we poked through this order block, so I'm going to delete it. And we found sensitivity off of one of our 786 retracements around 63,872. So we didn't quite get back to weekly open, but we kind of bounced from there. So definitely a bullish sign for Bitcoin, okay? As long as we stay above the weekly open, we have to remain bullish for the remainder of the week. We look for long setups, okay? So taking a look at our 12 hour, not too much to say there. I mean, you could say that we're kind of in a falling, I guess, bullish pennant here, potentially. I like to see these usually in the smaller time frames, though it's kind of harder to draw those out in the bigger time frames. You could see something like this, or you could also potentially kind of have it sideways. It could be kind of like a twisted sister, so you could see something like this as well, where it's kind of going sideways here. It's really going to depend on what Bitcoin is doing. I see it more so from the downward angle here. Um, let's see, taking a look at the 8, yeah, so it kind of messes up my pattern, right? But that's kind of what I was seeing on the 12 hour. Um, definitely still a bullish sign. I'm not turning bearish yet unless we were to flip the weekly, obviously. The 6 hour we are staying above that 200 MA. We're gonna probably get that 21 cross, so that's a really good sign. If we were to get that golden cross, what I've been targeting, what I'm expecting is that we're gonna hit this and test this bottom of this order block at least right here, which would be the 8 hour 200 MA. So in theory, if you wanted to play the 6 hour, you could. You could put a stop below, at least probably the 50 MA, I would say, which is 63,497, and see if you can ride it up. That would be like a bigger time frame play. Again, non-financial advice as usual, but that's something that you could uh, attempt to see. So we got to about the halfway point, I would say, on this extremely large candle here. We took out one of the order blocks, like I said, so that's a good sign. I was not expecting this much of a retracement, so I'm actually happy that that happened. Um, it gives more of a confirmation to the possible move upward, and we're keeping the 6 hour 200 MA, so all signs point that we're going to keep going up for right now. Let's see, the 1 hour. So the 1 hour, yeah, we're bouncing off of the 63,940, which has been an area of support for us so far. Kind of was hovering around it last night, it looks like, and now we're getting that reversal finally. So, yeah, I would look for price action to get tight on the 15. Bringing the 21 back into play, kind of consolidating within this range right here. Maybe you could pull a 786 right here, and we'll check liquidity to see where that's at. But I would say you'd probably pull it from maybe right here, or maybe this right here. But let's pull it from the bottom of the support line right here, the support zone. Um, yeah, so it looks like you might have already gotten the retracement. Let's take a look at the 5. Yeah, this could have just been the retracement right here to 64.84, and then you're going up to about 65,186 to retest potentially, and even higher. Um, but yeah, it does look like, we got that, we're getting that follow through now. So this is a really good sign for Bitcoin for today. Um, let's see, the 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute's really getting, we kind of had a bullish flag here. It's breaking out. Definitely getting the follow through. So this is a really good sign for the Bulls for today. So, I hope you guys saw some sort of setup this morning. That was a really beautiful reversal right here, with a nice little tiny 786 retracement to the upside. So very, very good. This would probably, I would say, be the last day where we have an expansive move. We could get one tomorrow as well, but we could potentially see the high taken out today. I would expect it to be today rather than tomorrow if we were to take out the high. If not, look for a bearish 786 to take us lower, but I do think that for the week we are going to stay above weekly open. Now, whether or not next week we, close a bullish candle is still up in the air, but if we get a bullish close this week, it does give that three white soldiers reversal pattern that we look for. The only downside to it is that I believe that we're going to have, unless we can get back up here, we're going to have a decent wick to the upside and to the downside. So it's kind of going to be a little bit of an indecision candle, just like the one previous to it, but three white soldiers is a known reversal pattern, so that's a good sign. All right, let's take a look at liquidity. So taking a look at liquidity, you can see that we do have some orders now down to about 62.4 or ending in about 62.4, which would, I believe, put you in some sort of 786 level off of here. Let's see here. Yeah, so if you were to pull 786, it's about 62.5, so that could be a very good entry if you were looking for a discount. The only thing is it may take you down to 60,006 if we, don't get a decent bounce from there. It could definitely fall through, right? So something to look out for, but other than that, you have to assume for right now, guys, if you can break this 64,685 and get back up into here, then you can possibly test 66.3, which is what we're targeting on the 4 hour. Okay. Taking a look at the 1 hour. So the 1 hour, let's take a look here. All right. So the 1 hour shows that we definitely could get a move down to 62.4-ish area, which we talked about. Let me decrease the aggregation here. Yeah, so this even says a little bit higher, 63.2. So definitely could be a possible kind of higher low here to take us down a little bit further, but it's really going to depend on whether or not we can break that 15-minute 200 MA and get above it and consolidate above it. That's what's going to be interesting to see today. Otherwise, like we looked at yesterday and like we figured it might be a midweek reversal. So Wednesday, this could be the high of the week, and then we're kind of dropping or going sideways the rest of the week. I don't know if we're going to take out that high again. 15-minute. So yeah, 15 minutes somewhat getting rejected off of that 200 MA right now. Um, Let me decrease the aggregation again. All right. So yeah, it does allude to the fact that we could get a rejection off of that. It's going to be interesting. From a timing perspective, we got the move, the bullish pump, that we were looking for. So I don't know if we're going to get a continuation or not. It's going to be a very interesting thing to see. We could stop right here. Like I said, it's all going to depend on whether or not we can bring that 21 into play on the 15 and then cross that 200. Um, yeah, otherwise you're looking at 63.2, then down to the 62.5-ish area. So it does look like there's a potential to have some more downside. Um, your trend diff is showing neutral everywhere except for the daily. Daily's at a 1, which is slightly bullish. You're getting the cross on the 5 minute. So as long as we can stay above the 5-minute 200 and get that golden cross with the 21 and, hopefully the 50 crossing over, it can guarantee, or not guarantee, but it can help with, an assumption that we are going to get the move to the upside. The only thing you got to watch out for on the 5 is you do have a good bridge down into that 60,000 range. So definitely could get a reversal either today or tomorrow. It's really going to depend on what price action is going to do and if whether or not it wants to, stay bullish for the week. Um, Taking a look at Kiyotaka, our order book, you can see that this order just got pulled. We do have one, at about, I think that, did that get pulled as well? No, 65,100 didn't get pulled. So 65,100, we still have one there. But we are getting an order down below to, 64,450, and then we have all of these orders down. So for right now, it is to be assumed that, price does want to go below at least into the 62 level. 62,651 is the last bigger one. You don't really have a good bridge to bring price up just yet. But again, when it comes to this order book and Kiyotaka in general, these orders will, show up and fall off quickly, right? And especially if they're trying to trick people, orders are constantly fluctuating. So it's something that you got to take with a grain of salt, and it's something that if you are going to trade using it, you have to watch it consistently most of the day, right? So take this chart with a grain of salt. I usually, put a lot more weight into the actual liquidity because it doesn't change as frequently. But let's go ahead and take a look finally at our simple map. So our simple map is showing that there is more liquidity now to the upside, more 100x, more 50x to the upside, which is a great sign for the bulls. You do have some 100x directly below us, so to lead us to around 63, which we talked about, right? 63 area. Um, so definitely, it's again, it's after, I think that there was unemployment claims today, but for the most part, it's after a lot of the Fed folder events. So just expect for the remainder of the week now to be more low volume. There can be a lot more volatility, a lot more reversals, right? So just be mindful of that. Um, let's see, taking a look at our swing time frame now. So it does look like there is more liquidity to the upside, which is a great sign. Even to drive us up to about 65.6 until we start getting into some of this major liquidity. There is some 25x to lead us to the downside as well, though, which would bring us into that 63 area, 63.5, 63, even down to 62-ish, eventually. But for right now, you have to assume that we're going to, at least on the bigger time frame, slowly work our way up. So definitely a very, very good sign for the bulls. All right, guys, that is what I have for you today. Again, I want to see, if we are going to remain bullish, you're going to want to see first the 5 minute get the golden cross with the 21 crossing above the 200. And then after that, you want to see the 15-minute consolidate and bring that 21 above the 200 as well. Those are two different time frames that I would watch on the in the scalping time frame area. And then obviously for the meso time frame period, you would want to watch the 4 hour, making sure it stays above its 200 MA. And then especially today, I would focus on the 6 hour to make sure that we get that golden cross, which would help to basically give an indication that we are going to move up higher and possibly test the 8 hour 200 MA. Okay. All right, guys, that is what I have for you this morning. As usual, if you guys want to use Trading Difference tools, you can get 10% off of your entire order by using my code Sean, tradingdifferent.com/code/Sean to get 10% off of the Trading Different tools to help you with your trades. All right. Anyways, guys, that is what I have for you today. I will be back later on this evening to give you an evening update, but I hope you guys have a wonderful day and take care.